Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia Chapter 182. And I'll start off by addressing the elephant in the room with this chapter, which is the art. This is once again another chapter where it was very inconsistent due to the unfinished frames and whatnot, which I'm sure are going to get fixed up in the official manga release. And I'm not going to say it wasn't distracting, but I'd also be lying if I didn't say there was a couple of moments where it didn't add to the if I didn't say there were a couple of moments where it did add to the where it felt like it added to the style. There were very few, mind you, but they kind of unintentionally worked. And as far as the reason why, I'm sure I'm not sure what have I'm not. I need to look it up in order to fully get the details, but I'm pretty sure it was one of those. It was very much one of those moments where Horikoshi was ended up being extremely rushed for time or something like that. Like I'm sure that somewhere in last week. That's somewhere in last week and this week. I'm sure Horikoshi was probably a little rushed. Something happened between last week and this week, where Horikoshi ended up kind of rushed in terms of trying to get the work done. So, yeah. But either way, it is one of those things where it is a distracting element, but there were also some good bits as well. And like I said, I'm sure this is one of those things that is going to get fixed up in the official manga release of the manga release of the chapter as well. So yeah, it's just one of the things where it is what it is, I guess. Now, with that said, the chapter itself was really quite a spectacle in terms of the content itself. And one thing I feel that was done really well was, despite the fact that Class 1A was doing all these flashy things, it never strayed away from keeping the focus on Jiro, which is where it should be. And through it, we get Jiro's back, and through it, like we basically see Jiro going all out. We see her on stage just singing her damn heart out, and through that we also see her. We also get her backstory, which has a lot of little interesting nuggets to take from. The first is that we generally see Jiro at a time we see that Jiro for a time genuinely had a love for music. But after she decided she wanted to be a hero, I guess somewhere along the line, Jiro thought she couldn't love music anymore, and she convinced herself of that, even despite her parents' very wise words of wisdom. But in this one moment, in this one particular moment on this stage at this festival, Jiro basically learned it's okay to have both a passion for music and a dream to be a hero. Because I feel that this chapter did a lot, and I think that is an interesting distinction. Like this chapter did kind of bring forth an interesting distinction, that there is a difference between having a passion for something and having a dream, and those two things can definitely cross over into each other. But there are also times where they can also remain separate as well. You can definitely have a passion for something, and you can also have a dream. Like for instance, one of my passions is, of course, anime, but I have a dream to be I have a dream to get involved into the broadcasting industry, because it was what I went to college for. Like I took broadcasting in college, so I want to be in that field. So yeah, it's really kind of it is one interesting thing of seeing how how having a passion for something and having a dream is can definitely remain separate from each other, but also crisscross at the same time. And and I feel that this also plays into the message that what this chapter conveyed, that you should really only do something if you actually have a passion for it. Because honestly, like I said, that's been my mantra for a long time, and I feel not enough people follow it in today's world, in people in the world of today. But Jiro did, and basically from what we got in this chapter, we see that, and by doing that, she basically rediscovered her love for music, and she also reaffirmed her desire to be a hero. And it's through that we also get into the second thing the second thing that this chapter did very well, which is that I the second is the words of wisdom from Jiro's mother, and about basically the one thing that took away from this chapter as well is the words of wisdom from Jiro's mother about how musicians are just another form of heroes, and in a lot of ways, Jiro's mom is right on point with that, because and even more so, there's actually a very interesting comparison to make with that. Like, music, at its core, is supposed to create an emotional and inspirational feeling in a person. Like, it's supposed to make a connection that you can actually feel that you've actually been that the song that the song and the story that the song that the story inside the song of these musicians, it's supposed to convey an emotional and inspirational feeling, but it's also supposed to make you connect and relate to basically that person, and it comes and just the fact that in person, and in many respects that does make musicians heroes, just in the fact that they can make that connection, just the fact that musicians can in fact have people and can in fact save people from any kind of emotional turmoil they have or anything like that. Like, music definitely is a powerful force in order to save people, for sure. And it comes through in just how the crowd went from being dissatisfied to energetic. Although the one thing to also take away is that on the flip side, just pretty much in the sense where there are definitely those musicians that can actually create genuinely good music and can actually save people and make a connection with them. There are just as many musicians that create music for the sole purpose of making money and nothing more. And in that respect, those two types of musicians could definitely be considered villains for being motivated by nothing but greed, for being nothing but greed and envy and whatnot. So, yeah, it's a very interesting distinction. It's a very interesting distinction. Like, there are definitely of how music and musicians actually does kind of cross over into My Hero Academia, because even the musical world has its heroes and its villains. And actually, I guess also to note with the music world, I guess villains could also be music moguls, like the big music giants, and like the music companies that say we want to, like the cigar smoking managers and whatnot could be considered villains as well. So, yeah, an interesting distinction with music there. And I never thought I'd ever draw a connection between music and heroism, but yeah, it really came through in this chapter. And okay. So, the end of the chapter, we see Eri has finally smiled, and what I think is so amazing about this end result is that Izuku wasn't the only factor that made it possible. He was definitely part of it. Like definitely seeing Izuku, it definitely helped her for sure. Seeing Izuku on stage, it definitely helped her for sure. But it wasn't just him. What was basically made possible what basically made it possible in order to have Eddie smile was basically everyone in Class 1A's efforts and of being able to make this concert work, and that's another thing too. Like, basically their basically Class 1A's efforts, like everything they were doing, it was all basically all natural. It was all a team effort. Everything they did, it was done with precision. It was done with precision because each student basically took advantage of their own quirks in order to even make this concert possible and just make it the spectacle that it was. So, yeah, in many respects, it was basically everyone. It was basically by teaming up and everyone doing their part and doing what they could in order to make this, doing what they could, but by any means, whether using their quirk or otherwise, to make this concert possible. That they actually made Eri smile. So, yeah, and I really. And so, yeah, in many respects, all of Class 1A, and not just not just Izuku saved her. So yeah, I really like how that ended with it not being just Izuku alone that helped there. It was basically everyone's, and I can really appreciate that, to be honest with you. Um, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I do like how the dark cloud of smoke washing over Eri in the last page was almost symbolic of her sadness being of all her sadness, all of her dark emotions being basically washed away and destroyed, but by the positivity of the crowd and Class 1A's performance. Like that, like just I again, I might be reading a little too much into it, but I'm pretty sure just based on the shading of that smoke, I'm pretty sure that was that being a little symbolic was definitely Horikoshi's intent. And yeah, like overall, this chapter was just so good. Like it was so good. It gave Jiro so much spotlight, but at the same time, it also showcased just how well Class 1A works together, and how they together just ended up saving someone, a single person. So yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.